Okay, so we are back with the patinaed shoes and evidently Tchotchke to do the sole whitening. I just wanted to make a note. You can tell I kind of changed these a little bit just to make sure they matched each other. I had to redo the toe a few times to kind of get the optimal balance between patina and base color. I wanted to note like how well, like our box cutter scratch is here and how well the patina plus the repair camouflaged it. And then this one had significant scuffing, which you can see under really harsh light, but the black mostly obscures it. So that's why kind of patinaing is a good technique if you have damage you really can't overcome. Okay, so to whiten the soles, there's a lot of videos out there, but I figured I would do this one just because it is in the sequence, and I figured out, I think, a way to do it without causing any damage. Before we do this, I'm going to clean the shoes again. I wanted to note I did get some dye in the stitching. I forgot to warn you about that. What I like to use for that really is just hand sanitizer because it is alcohol and Tirago lifts with alcohol. You don't want to rub it in. I ended up using a reusable straw brush to kind of get in there nicely and just a rag to lift it. I like using hand sanitizer because it's a gel form, so it's more easy to control than liquid alcohol. This will do some whitening of the thread, but it is still a good idea to just start with as cleanly as you can. So to do this, I have again my cleaner. I'm gonna clean this again. Then I have, this is the product I said is caustic. It is very caustic. If you have any cuts on your finger, and I always do because I'm always doing something with my hands, it will get in there and it will burn really bad and it will stay there for a few hours. So for this step, I usually am very laissez-faire about gloves, but you definitely need gloves for this step. And I used to do it with like an old t-shirt and I found it would get on my hands. So again, I'm using a paintbrush for more control, and you could use that same mid-sized brush to do that. Then, as following the instructions on here, you want to use plastic wrap. You can use anything that you have to hold in the solution while you put it in the sun. You don't need like a super sunny day to do it. It's pretty gray in New York today. But I'm still gonna do one shoe, and then so you can see the difference even on kind of a gray day. You need just the bare minimum of UV to really jumpstart the process. Alright, so we're gonna do that. First we're gonna clean, using a wipe again. Depending on how dirty your shoes were, you may not have to do this again. I'm just doing it kind of out of an abundance of caution, especially since I knew I alcoholed it yesterday to get things out of stitching. And you might be satisfied after this. I like to remove all traces of yellow, which is what the Sole Bright will do, but it's not always necessary. I should say also, this is an Angelus product. They changed the packaging. It is still called Sole Bright. It's like just like a white bottle now, just so you know. It's not going to look like this one. A bottle lasts a long time, and you can use it on a lot of pairs of sneakers. And there's that spot I wiped off before. I'm really hoping that that will resolve. I'm going to do this one, actually, just because of that. I might have to clean it some more even after the Sole Bright, but we'll see. I'm hopeful. And again, you could go at this with a scrub brush. I may yet do that for the bottom soles. Normally I would have done that before the video, but I was eager to get to the video. Which that you would just use something like Dr. Bronner's or a very gentle dish soap, and you would do your utmost to not get it on the leather. Which is again why I like a brush, because it offers you more control. Yeah, so here we have some dye, but it'll come right off. I know these have a synthetic sole, and that does help for cleaning, but it'll work on genuine rubber as well. If you're using not like an acrylic dye, then your genuine rubber would cause you much more problems because it does actually absorb leather color. But in most cases, these are synthetic soles these days. Alright, so this one I'm going to set aside because I want you to see the before and after. I'm going to do this one with the fun scrubbed off spot so you can see a good difference. I'm going to set this aside, maybe see if I can squeeze a reuse out of it in case I find anything. Alright, and then I am going to get my gloves on. As far as I know, this stuff is safe to breathe in. It is just not safe to touch at all. I will probably still manage to get some on my skin today. And you're going to want to clean your brush right away and probably clean it with the gloves on. I've made that mistake before. I might tear this beforehand. You're going to want to wrap the whole outsole, like this whole rim. You don't really need a lot. I might want a second piece just to be sure, but I tend to stick it on a diagonal so I can get the backs and fronts. Alright, so I'm going to shake that a little bit because it's been a while. I'm going to pour it into the cap so my brush can access it more easily. Okay. Then less is more here again. If you get it on the leather, it's not a huge deal, especially if you patina, because then, oh, there's still some dye there. Actually, I might have to lift that beforehand. And I think that's gonna it's gonna need some work after this. You want to do really thin coats. I like to do 2, just to make sure. Get up in the stitching. This is a relative of, it's a peroxide, so it's like a relative of hydrogen peroxide, but it's a lot stronger. And you're not gonna like get like a brand new looking shoe, but you'll definitely get a nicer. It'll definitely look like it was always yours and not someone else's, which is, I think, kind of the goal of shoe restoration, because you're never gonna get it back to factory completely. This is picking up a little bit of dye. We should be able to remove that with cleaner afterwards. It just really like reveals everything. There are other companies that make this product, by the way. I just haven't tried them yet because I've had this same bottle of Sole Bright for years and used it on a ton of sneakers. Okay, so I'm going to do one more coat. Same deal. This works primarily on white soles. I wouldn't bother to use it on a colorful sole at all. It does also work on like ice soles. There's a separate instruction for that. I've never had an ice sole, so I don't feel comfortable telling you how to do it, but it does come with instructions for that. You can even use it to dye an ice sole. Like, it helps the dye better penetrate the surface of a translucent sole, which is kind of cool. Okay. Alright, I'm pretty content with how that's coated. You can see there's really no blobs of it anywhere. You just don't need it. You really can get away with the bare minimum. Okay, so this, I'm going to wrap it. And again, you don't have to worry too much about the leather. You can always touch it up. I've really never had a problem. Supposedly you can use this on white leather as well. I've just never done that because I won't wear white shoes because I live in New York City. but supposedly it helps remove the oxidation there too, which makes sense because it's a peroxide. Okay, so I've got that all sort of lightly sealed on there. It's okay if it's not all covered. Then I'm going to take it over to my south-facing window. It's going to need a few hours, and then we will come back to see the results. Okay, so we are back. I let this sit for 2 hours. I do kind of wish I had gotten a sunnier day, but I'm still going to show you a comparison with the one that I didn't treat and this one that I did before, which was less damage to start. It's not going to register as like a huge difference. You can see a little bit there, but I am going to scrub it. It's not going to register as a huge difference, but like in person, it definitely makes a big difference between looking like your sneaker is really clean and, you know, is just close to factory as you can really get. So I should probably have put gloves back on, but it's just going to make it a lot easier to scrub off any remaining grime. And I mean, they're pretty nice and white. I'm actually surprised by, I thought these were going to be a lot worse. Sometimes you do have to do a second treatment. I tend to go back every few months and do another one, depending on what I've been doing in the shoes. Natural rubber is going to oxidize much faster, so it's more of a luxury finish, really, but it definitely discolors faster because it is natural, and it will oxidize and yellow a little bit more. I accidentally took off some paint there, but I'm gonna have to touch that up. You can see like it's just a lot easier to clean it. This back piece is pretty nice now. You can also do it with a UV light bulb, which I may have to invest in if I keep doing this. Just because I need to be able to control for days when I don't get a lot of sun here in New York City. Alright, there's still some marks. We'll have to play around and see if I want really to do this again on a slightly less gray day. I'm just scrubbing at some marks that I'm still seeing. They definitely lift a lot easier after the sole bright. And really what we're getting at is kind of like an undertone issue, almost like with the paint, where oxidation is really just like has something yellowed, or is it, you know, the bluish factory undertone. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to show you the comparison. It's really not a radical difference this time. These were cleaner than I thought they were. You can see it more. Yeah, see there's still some sign of oxidation there. I might have to coat that again. But you can't see like a huge difference. I do wish it had a little more contrast for you, and this is a newer one. So like some of it is just age. Like you can't, this is like maybe 2 or 3 tones whiter. But these were a lot older and more damaged. And like the stitching came pretty clean. It's not quite as clean as this one. And again, that's the hardest part to really restore and get clean. But I'm pretty happy with them overall. So I'm going to stop now and I'm going to put some laces in this so we have our final reveal. Okay, so here we have our final reveal compared to the much newer shoe that was in way better condition. I just want you to notice how we could really get this beat up shoe looking pretty much just like this one. A lot of the work is done at the patina. You can see that the soles, like I said in the last section, I am going to probably try to whiten these again on a sunnier day, but they're still a lot cleaner than they were, and a lot whiter. They definitely don't look oxidized, and from kind of like far away, these compare pretty well. That box cutter scratch is almost completely obscured, as is all the scuffing. Any peeling that was here is gone. And I also wanted to show you the edge that's pulling away. While it's drying, it has this weird sinewy look, but now it's really nice and firmly attached, which just gives the shoes a lot more integrity. I wanted to say I tend to wash the laces, hand wash them. I kind of like scrub them with my fingers. My favorite for doing this is the Laundress Whites detergent. This has old school bluing in it. So it adds what is called an optical brightener back into the laces and just makes them nice and shiny. These were not so bad, actually. They just had a little bit of a musty, dusty smell. This has a little bit of scent in it, which is good. You can also use something like Dr. Bronner's, which I use for everything. It's really good for defunking any leftover smells. But yeah, there's the comparison. And again, I'm going to work at the whiteness here, but other than that, I'm really happy with these, and I think it's a great transformation. So thank you for following along, and I hope this is helpful for you in being able to buy more secondhand shoes or just giving new life to shoes that you have worn and loved.